Did you hear that there was an attack on the White House? Almost a breach in the whole fencing system. They had to call in extra troops. Wonder if you heard that. Did you hear about the fact that we were trying to make a policy on the southern border with the senators and the Republicans caved? The second major landowner, now Bill Gates being the first, but who's the second largest personal landowner? Is a Chinese businessman who's part of the CCP. These are the stories that so many people miss just because they're not making mainstream news. I hope that you are interested in these because these are the things that impact you more than you can understand. The way you get your food, the way people look at manipulation and propaganda, such as the breach at White House, the way we look at Republican congressmen and senators and actually are they working for us? Let's jump into it today. These stories are huge and they impact you, especially as someone who wants to be a prepper, who wants to live sustainable and wants to try to do all they can to take care of their family. Let's jump into it. Today's video starts right now.
Like I can fly. You can take me high.
Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much to be here on this cold morning. It's about 24 here. It's supposed to get down in the teens. Mississippi is not used to that. I'm not used to that. I do not envy all you people who live in the North United States. You keep that. I guess I'm a pansy because I like living in the warmer climates, especially older I get. I hope that you're ready to start your week, and I hope that these stories don't discourage you, but encourage you to do better and to seek better wisdom. If you're new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, that's okay, but let us know what you think about this content. When you give us a thumbs up and you comment, it helps us grow as a community, but also it helps us stay in the algorithm to say, you know what, more people should be recommended this. First story I want to touch is the pro-Palestinian rally that almost breached the White House fence. They had to call in new security forces, more security forces, because people were going crazy. Now, it's amazing how an insurrection that was pretty much a toured event a few years ago and is still talked about to this day, and also the former president has talked about this day, but however, no one's talking about this pro-Palestinian rally that almost destroyed the White House fence. They were not there to support Joe Biden. They were there to say, let's go Brandon. And I'm gonna say that in the more feasible terms compared to the other terms they were using. But they were going crazy and nuts there because of his support for Israel. Now, as a conservative, I support Israel as well. But I do think it's funny that he's getting a taste of his own medicine where liberals are now storming and no one's talking about it. Why is no liberal Democrats talking about this second insurrection? Nobody's going to talk about it, and you're probably not going to hear it on mainstream media. But pro-Palestinian rallies all of a sudden go crazy, violent, and try to breach at the White House and saying very, very bad things about their president. Number two, what is encouraging is firearm sales are at a 5-year high. It's been going up every year because Americans realize the problems that they're going to be facing over the next coming years. Now, here's the things that are discouraging. There's been Washington State, Oregon State, and also now New Mexico that are putting more taxes on the things that you buy, like the projectiles. Also trying to regulate more sales. So you have a New Mexico governor that's now trying to put more rules and regulations on you purchasing firearms. However, they're allowing their borders to be wide open. And all of a sudden, if this invasion keeps on happening, how are you going to be protected? That rolls right into the next story. Remember James Clapper? Intelligence guy for Obama and also for several other leaders. Even him as a liberal came out this week and said, I'm worried about the terrorism that's coming across our border. So I love the fact that Americans are standing up and saying, you know what, I'm not going to allow this just to keep on happening. We're going to go in and start buying self-defense tools. I think that's great. All-time high. Keep on doing it, Americans. However, now you have states, especially Democratic states, who are saying that they want to stand up for your freedoms now. However, they're taking your rights away to buy projectiles by costing more because they want to make it harder for the common man to buy self-defense tools, along with the fact that now you see even CIA and national intelligence agencies are coming out that even was for Obama. Obama supporters are saying, I'm really worried about the terrorism that's coming across our border. We may need to look at what we could do to hinder the crossing. Now, they keep blaming it on Republicans. They're blaming it on Republicans, which is unbelievable. But I digress. It's still to a point where I love the fact to see that liberals are having to kind of eat their own words and say, you know what, there is a problem and we need to address it. Number four, another story that I think should encourage you, but again, it depends on Republicans doing something, and they're not going to do it because they're weak. Look at Langford's bill with Schumer. He pretty much caved. So if you're in Oklahoma, he has sold you out, people. He has sold you out. Look at what he was wanting to pass with Schumer. Even the House Republicans who have faltered on this government shutdown bill and on the fact of funding the government, how they, again, are rhinos, but they even said, wait, this is way too far for us Republicans to support. So Langford has really let the senators down and let the Republicans down, conservatives down, especially the state of Oklahoma. You could do better. Check his record on that. But here's how they could do it. Stephen Miller came out last week and said, and that was a former Trump advisor, he said the way to shut down the border is you make it defunded, meaning the money that is being spent to house illegals is put up to utilize for immigration. He said all they have to do, the House Republicans, all they have to do is cut the check off and defund the status of moving illegal immigrants across the nation. He said that means at that point, taxpayer dollars cannot be used to move immigrants across the country and cannot be used to house them even on border towns and letting them cross into Texas and Texas having to take care of them. He said the immigration, if you cut the immigration checks off and defund it, there's no one that can take care of them, and then all of a sudden they have to go back. We can't just spend millions and millions of taxpayer dollars to do that. Then what's going to happen, he said, is Democrats are going to find loopholes to fund it, and it's going to make them even look weaker to their own constituents. So you see, there is a solution from Stephen Miller saying just cut the check up and cut it off, especially the fact that we are now looking at a funding bill, and we're also looking at a fact that Democrats want to spend more money in Ukraine, which is a joke. Democrats are ruining all this, and it's amazing how the Republicans are just going along with it. They could solve the problem, and Stephen Miller just laid it out. Two more stories I want to talk to you about. First landowner, of course, is Bill Gates. Second landowner is a Chinese nationalist that is part of the CCP. How did he become the second largest farmland owner in America as the Chinese nationalist billionaire? Blows my mind. You know how much red tape and how much government intervention had to be laxed for this guy to own that. We talk about how much we don't like China and how dangerous they are. However, we laxed the policy of Chinese nationalists coming across the border. Look it up. It's law. Biden administration allowed Chinese nationalists to come across the border with laxed policy. Normally, they get several questions. They got a few questions, and they allowed them to walk right into America. And then all of a sudden, the second largest farmland owner is a Chinese CCP member, someone who stands with the Chinese party, someone who stands against freedom. And we allowed him to come in and buy all this farmland. It's unbelievable. Last story is World Economic Forum. Guess who's one of the biggest speakers there this year is? Zelensky. So we talk about the Ukrainian ties and the Democrats trying to fund them, and even the Republicans. One of the keynote speakers for the WEF this year is Zelensky. Also, Russia came to WEF to say, you know what, why don't we have a ceasefire? Zelensky didn't want it, so he didn't agree to it. So as long as he's using U.S. taxpayer money, he could care less. So if we would cut it off, you know what, Zelensky would probably fall to the knees and beg for a ceasefire. It's our fault, and it's the Democrats' fault for keep funding it. It's the Republicans' fault for going along with it, because I believe there's back money coming right back to them, as we talked about. I think they said 70% of all money that's going over there is going to contractors that are based back in the U.S. for defense and for spending. Isn't that funny? It's a laundering place. Also at the WEF, tickets to the World Economic Forum Davos event is $250,000 a pop. You know, we sent a bunch of politicians over there. Who's paying for that? I wonder if the taxpayers are paying for that, lobbyists are paying for that. So you wonder why they don't speak for the American people? It's because someone's paying $250,000 for them to go over there and listen to Klaus Schwab and Zelensky to tell their side of the story. And remember, like I said yesterday, the main person they want to talk about is Trump and how what they would do if all of a sudden he becomes president. Keynote speaker Zelensky, more money flowing in. Russia tries to go over there to do a ceasefire, and it's $250,000 just to have a ticket at this event. Don't you think that the American people are being played in all these things that we talked about today? Focus on these stories. It's not there to discourage you or make you fear. It's to make you say, people like Langford, people like Johnson, are they really standing up for us? Are they really standing up for us? Is your elected official actually working for you? or working for special interest. That's the things to think about. Encouraging the fact that people are buying more and more self-defense tools, a great asset, something that's always going to go up in value and is worth more than you can ever imagine. So keep on buying it, guys. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Remember, it's not to discourage you, it's to encourage you to do better, to seek wisdom and guidance, and ultimately rely not on ourselves, but on Christ. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless. Happy on